So today we're going to talk about the mode key, which is the top left-hand key on your keyboard, and I'm just going to press the mode key on this unit and see what happens. So the mode key controls mode right here, which is the second channel of this gauge. So on this particular gauge, first time we press it we get CFM, then we get square inches of EQLA, and then we get EFLA in square feet, and we get air changes per hour, and then we go back to pressure B. So obviously some of these you want, some of these you don't want, and you may want some additional input. So let's take a look and see how we can change that. We simply press the setup key in the top right hand corner, and we press setup. We get the main setup menu, and we scroll through that menu with the up or down arrow, which is on the 2 or the 8 key. Keep scrolling through that, and we see mode setup. So when we see mode setup, it says enter setup. So we press enter and we get into setup. So the very first thing you see is you see pressure. In this case, pressure is in pascals, and there's little arrows flashing off to the right here. So if we press the right hand cursor, which is underneath the 6 key, we can change those to inches of water column, pounds per square foot, or back to pascals. So you can have any one of those units. We scroll down and we see that we've got flow in CFM. So we can change that to flow in CFM, flow in liters per second, flow in cubic meters per second, flow in cubic meters per hour, and then off, which means it doesn't display flow at all. So let's keep going and display flow in CFM. We scroll down one more time, and there's the at pressure reading, or the reading that it will extrapolate to as a default, and at 50 pascals is probably the most common one, but we can set that at anything that we want. If we want to do that, we simply press enter, and you can press the keys for the pressure you want. In this case we'll try 75, enter, and we now have our flow at 75 pascals, so that's what we want. Here we have EQLA showing in square inches, and we can get rid of that if we want to, just by turning it off. And then the at pressure doesn't really mean anything in this case, but it can be adjusted as well. And we're also going to turn the EFLA off. That one's off now. And as we scroll down, you notice we've got air changes per hour, which is at 50 pascals, which is probably the most common setting. Most people will want that. Again, if you don't want it, you go back to air change, and you just merely hit the right scroll key and turn it off or turn it back on again. It's always per hour, or air changes per hour. Off and back on again. So you should practice with this stuff so you get familiar with it. Go through the rest of the possible modes. Flow per unit area, which is off. EQLA per unit area is off. EFLA per unit area is off. Velocity is off. And then we keep scrolling around and we come all the way back to where we started, which was pressure in pascals. And now we'll simply hit the exit key once, the exit key twice, and we're back on the main screen. And now let's take a look at see the effects of hitting the mode key. So now we hit mode once, we get CFM. We hit it again, we get air changes per hour. We hit it again, we go back to pascals. Notice how we've actually removed 2 of the modes. We can add, subtract, remove modes at will, and have it read only the things we want it to read.